Perhaps sequel 98 will turn out to be the most controversial in the Church of Uganda history. However, I must state it from the outset that history cannot be corrupted. It records facts the way they were. You are unhappy with the facts? It's your problem. History cannot be changed. And with that explanation, I welcome you to Seco number 98, in which we are going to see the controversial Namirembe Cathedral foundation stone, the foundation laying ceremony, and how the original one has been erased from history and replaced by another. Very interesting story. Welcome. I'm Christopher Amos Chikomekontambi, the author, and we are celebrating the Church of Uganda at 150 years, celebrating early to create awareness, and we celebrate both the church and the state history. The foundation stone of Namirembe Cathedral is dated the 8th of November 1915 and is found outside on the eastern wall of Namirembe Cathedral block. The work was based on the plan of the British architect Arthur Beresford Pite, who never visited the site. The original plan drawing arrived in April 1911, and the breaking down of the old cathedral structure was still ongoing. Remember, the cathedral structure had burnt after lightning in September of 1910. So the dismantling of the old structure was still ongoing in April 1911 when the drawings of the new cathedral arrived. The place was being releveled and a 7-foot foundation had been dug, and when the plan arrived, an extra 7 feet deep foundation was extended, so that makes it 14 feet deep, and the 3-fold foundation was made of burnt bricks, reinforced concrete, and solid rock. The foundation stone was made of concrete with its cement officially imported from Great Britain. This was a result of the original natural foundation stone turning out to be a disappointment. So a brick-making machine with its oil engine also had to come from England, and all these imports took considerable time to arrive. When the cement arrived, the concrete cement foundation stone was finally made in 1913. The actual construction of the foundation began with the laying of the foundation stone by Bishop John Jamieson Willis. First of all, he dug the sod, and then he laid the foundation stone after the foundation, which had already actually been dug. And that was done by Bishop John Jamieson Willis on the 30th of June, 1913. Why that date? Because it was a spiritual gate. It was the gate on which the missionaries first arrived in Uganda. It was the 36th anniversary of the arrival of the first missionaries in Uganda. Bishop Jamieson, by 30th June 1913, had just returned from his famous Kikuyu Town Conference of the various British missionary societies, which became a controversy for him, as we already heard in previous sequel. Kabaka Daudi Chwa had left for England on the 6th of May 1913 when this laying of the stone was done. And he did not return till the 6th of October 1913. So there is no way the gate, that spiritual gate, would have been honored as a laying of the foundation stone if the Kabaka was the one to do it. By the time the Kabaka returned, Bishop John Jameson Willis was also leaving for England to face trial on the charges brought against him by the Bishop of Zanzibar, alongside the charges he was being charged together with the Bishop of Mombasa, as we've already heard, over the Kikuyu Town Missionaries Conference controversy. And the bishop actually never returned to Uganda till the following year, 1914, in May. So you see how it was complicated. The two were on the move. The Kabaka was on the move. Then when he returns, the bishop is on the move. So if the spiritual gate was to be honored, there is no way they would have involved the Kabaka. Meanwhile, the construction continued and progressed. The foundation progressed with a bed of reinforced concrete, which was about 2 feet thick, preceding the bricks built on top. By February 1914, the foundation, with bricks slightly above it, was complete. But due to the lack of money, alterations of the plan had been called for. Remember, this is the time when we shall be also addressing the First World War later on in future sequels. The size was reduced of the grandeur cathedral, and that called for the architect Arthur Beresford Pite to do some additional adjustments in the original 1911 plan. Bishop John Jameson Willis, who had returned to Buganda in May 1914, quickly returned to England to hear the verdict of his trial in July 1914. Therefore, Bishop John Jameson was always on the move, was always at sea regarding that trial in England, at Canterbury in England, and the Consultative Council, which had been appointed by the Archbishop of Canterbury to handle his case. Bishop John Jameson, therefore, was not permanently in Uganda, and his attention was basically diverted, and there is no way one would have expected to make the 30th of June 1914 to be the laying of the foundation. After all, the foundation was already built, so it would all have lost its meaning. The foundation is over. They have built it already. They have now even started constructing the walls on top of the foundation. So how then can you lay a foundation stone ceremony? You see, laying of a foundation has a meaning. That when the foundation is still being dug, the sod has been dug, then the foundation stone is laid. That's what it means, and it has a date. And the date is 1913. So let's hear more. Let's hear more as I develop what I'm trying to show you in this particular sequence. That the construction changes called for further work. Unfortunately, because of World War which had commenced, the entire work was put to a halt in October 1915. Why? A new plan had arrived from architect Arthur Beresford Pite, and that had to be worked out by the foremen and the constructors. The changed plan wall construction then commenced, and on the 8th of November 1915, the ceremony of fixing the foundation stone in a gap left 2 years earlier on the eastern side of the outside wall was performed by Kabaka Daudi Chwa II, and present was Bishop John Jameson Willis of Uganda. But now hear what happened. As they fixed the stone, the details on the stone had changed. That foundation stone laid 2 years earlier, the name John Jamieson disappeared, and the name Daudi Chwa, the Kabaka of Buganda, entered there, and the date of the foundation stone was also altered. It was no longer the 30th of June 1913 when it was actually laid. It now became that day when the foundation stone was fixed on the wall. Let me repeat. The inscribing of the king's name on the day he did so was to make a political point, and it had nothing to do with the meaning of laying over foundation stone in 1915, because the wall was already above the foundation. The foundation had long been finished. There is no way the foundation stone could have been laid at that time. So the details of the foundation stone were changed. They were no longer reading 30th of June 1913, and they were no longer reading Bishop John Jamieson Willis. But what did we see, and what do we see today? The name Kabaka Daudi Chwa and the date 8/11/1915. So, on the 8th of 11th, 1915, the foundation stone was fixed onto the wall by the Kabaka, and that had nothing to do with laying it. Laying it had already been done 2 years earlier. Unfortunately, the details of the stone changed. The one who laid, the date in which it was laid, all changed. So, on the 8th of November 1915, which should have been the day the foundation stone was fixed, and which ceremony should have said that the foundation stone was fixed into the wall on this day, instead became the day the foundation stone was laid, which is not true, which is factually false. Now, there is more. Because truth was compromised at the behest of the church agreed. Bishop Jamieson, who was present, agreed that this is what should be, and I'm calling it a political point. It was all to make a political point. There was future trouble, as we shall see in future sequels. There was a complete riot in one of the synods of the Uganda diocese as delegates from Bunyoro raised this issue, and there was a debate, and finally a solution was found. What was that solution? Did the Banyoro delegates who had brought the complaint agree to it? Well, that remains what we shall focus on when the future sequel addressing that at its appropriate historical date reaches. May the good Lord bless us all.